Hello and welcome to another edition of the Hughes at 10. It must be 10 o'clock. It must be lockdown. Oh no, dear. Right, hello everyone. Hi Jared, how you doing? What's the topic tonight? I don't actually know. Not much has happened today, I don't think. More of the same. Trump has declared that he's won the election in all caps on Twitter like a maniac. God, imagine if Jabba the Hutt could like text and he'd be like, "I'm going to get you, Han Solo." Blah, 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 blah. Basically, that's Trump, just a big orange Jabba the Hutt. Attila, hi there. Charlie's asking, have I seen any Michael Moore films? Yes, of course. I've seen Bowling for Columbine, Fahrenheit 9/11. He used to have a TV show in the 90s in the UK called TV Nation, I think. And then he did one called The Unbearable Truth or The Unbelievable Truth. And it was quite funny. What they used to do is an old trick of messing with statistics. They would say that 87% of Americans who bowl on the weekends think that the sun is made of leftover kebab wraps or something mad like that, because what they'd done is they'd put a proportion of this of the cohort that they had interviewed and said, right, these are the only people who bowl at the weekend, and there's probably like two of them. One of them's a nutter, and they go, oh yeah, 50% of Americans think this, which is quite clever. Unfortunately, that technique was taken out of a comedy show and kind of dumped into reality, dumped into actual politics as it is today. But yeah, one Michael Moore movie that I did like was Sicko, the one about the health service in America or healthcare in America. Except for the fact that in that movie, he goes down to Key West in Florida and he gets on a boat and he goes to Cuba, and it's like, oh yeah, I can just go and do this, no problem. And I'm like, okay. So when I'm trying to get to Cuba without flying as part of my Odyssey expedition to every country in the world without flying, I take my cue from Michael Moore and I go to Key West in Florida. And I'm like, can I get on anyone's yacht? And everyone there is like, you kidding me, aren't you? You get put in jail. And I'm like, what? I'm like, you can't just go to Cuba. There's the what was it? The 1914 or the 1916 Trading with the Enemy Act. And if we go over there, they'll throw you in jail or throw me in jail. I won't go to jail because I'm British, but they might go to jail. They'll have their boat taken off them. They'll have the captain's license taken off them. They're like, we're not going to Cuba, Graham, just because you want to go. And I'm like, oh. And they'd just gone past Cancun on the way up for Belize. And I was like, okay, next time, go via Cancun if you want to go to Cuba without flying. Top tip. Jared saying, I can't believe he's keeping us waiting. Excuse me, Jared. I think you'll find that I was bang on 10 o'clock GMT today. PM. Charlie Nasser said, P.S. saw your Charlie Brooker video. It was hilarious. Cheers, Charlie. I know you watched it. Annoyingly, there's a scene in it because I'm reviewing, obviously, like Charlie Brooker does, I review the films and stuff and the adverts and the TV shows that are on in 2017, the roundup of the year that I was doing. And I had the scene out of that terrible movie, Alien Covenant, when Michael Fassbender is watching the little miniature alien burst out of that guy, the captain or the acting captain or whatever. And he sort of stands up in the light like this. And then I cut it with the scene in Spaceballs where the alien dons a little hat and he sings, "Hello, my baby." And yeah, apparently that bit of footage is owned by a French media company. And they've put a copyright notice on my video. And so the whole thing, all 1 hour video, has been taken off YouTube. Thanks for that, YouTube. So I've put in a complaint to say, hey, YouTube, that's not on. But whether they'll get back to me, I don't know. The funniest one of them, copyright strikes that I had was, well, it wasn't a strike. It was just they removed the video, was when I used some of my YouTube video on a TED presentation that I did, a TED talk that I did. And I got a copyright notice off TED. And I was like, hang on, I gave you that footage, that my footage predates you. It's footage of me that I shot. But yeah, so I had to fight that. It took a while, actually, to get that back online. And also, yeah, there's the copyright thing on YouTube is a nightmare. But you're a lot more likely to get into trouble with music than you are with video. Because you can always say with video, I was just reviewing it. Okay. Graham Hughes is saying, what should we talk about? Oh, that's me. MMTB 1972 is saying, I would like to know how I can get a contract of 150 million to supply face masks. Be a Tory, be a mate of the Tories, donate to the Tories, be married to a Tory. Tory, Tory, Tory. It's all good. Chris Kopeck is saying, see Hat Mancock's GMB interview. Yeah, I just saw the bit where Piers Morgan just laid it all out there. The 50,000 deaths, the PPE, the fact that it was 2 weeks late going into lockdown in March, and that delay has cost up to 25,000 lives. The test and trace, which was just a disaster. The fact that we now have one of the highest death rates in the world still. The fact that nobody knew what was going on with the tiers. I just listing all the government failures. I don't even think he mentioned the A-level fiasco on top of all this. And Hat Mancock just sort of babbled about how great we've been, and it was just weird. It was just they just live in their own world, and that's very far removed from actual reality. Just realized all my hair's sticking up. It's not good when you can see yourself on the camera. Right, Attila says check out Sicko. I just said that, or you probably wrote that before I said it, didn't you? Oh good, travel stories, what I want to hear. Hi guys. Tom Monks is saying we'd have to lose 50 pounds to be Jabba the Hutt, I assume. Yeah. The Moderna vaccine looks promising. Yeah, there's 2 vaccines now. One's 90% efficacy. It's not efficacy, it's it's with an F. Efficacy. Oh, I can't say it. Bowling for Columbine has a comparison between weapons in US and Canada, where TV in the US was made to scare people, and Canada has friendly TV and nobody locking his door. Yeah, it's very true. Bowling for Columbine actually came out in 2000. I think that was the same year that I did my final year dissertation into American gun policy, and it was a real delve into the toxic nature of the gun debate. I mean, it's not even a debate in America, which is that the NRA are a political cult faction of the arms industry that just want to sell weapons. They don't care how many people die. They just want to sell weapons. It's the only reason for existing. And I dug out some mad stuff when I was doing my research that I didn't realize. I don't even think it's touched on in Bowling for Columbine. But I'll give an example. So the FBI aren't allowed to, and the CDC aren't allowed to collate information about gun ownership in America and gun deaths in a way that you would for a disease or you would for other criminal activity. There's no national database. There's no national database of gun ownership. There's a place in Virginia or West Virginia, I always get them mixed up, where I don't know why they bothered really, where there's a big warehouse and they store all of the records for who buys a gun legitimately. But it's all got to be collected on paper. They're not allowed to digitize it by law. And you're like, oh my God. So someone's actually turned up in Congress and went, we should stop people digitizing this stuff because otherwise it'll make us look bad for supporting this industry that kills. Well, when I wrote my dissertation, it was 33,500 people a year. Now it's 38,500 people a year in the US. It's actually surpassed automobile accidents now, I think, for the #1 cause of death after disease. The big one for me though is the fact that America is such a litigious country. It's famously the country where a woman sued McDonald's for burning herself on hot coffee, and they had to put hot coffee on the coffee cups. And reading a little bit more into that, the coffee was too hot when it was served the woman in a drive-through, and she put the coffee between her legs, and she sustained life-changing injuries as a result. And that's why they had to, sort stuff out like the tops and the fact that the coffee couldn't be that hot that they served. It couldn't be scalding hot to pass into someone's car. But I mean, that's by the by. The fact is, everyone knows that Americans like to take things to court, as we've seen with Trump over the last couple of weeks. But if you go out hunting with your son or daughter, maybe it's your daughter, maybe it's your 7-year-old daughter, apple of your eye, and you've bought her a pink AK-47, for instance, because, you can do that in America. Although Kinder Surprise eggs are still banned in America under a 1930s rule about not allowing toys in candy, I think. Haggis is still banned in America because it contains sheep's lungs, and a lot of French cheeses are banned because they're not pasteurized. Dangerous, you see. Not like, I don't know, an AR-15. But if you take your kid out hunting with a nice little pink AK-47 with flowers on it, and you see an animal that doesn't need to be dead, a beautiful wild animal, and you think, oh, I'd love to see what that looks like, slumped on the floor with blood coming out of its face. You tell your daughter, right, take the safety off, right, point it towards don't put it on automatic, just have it on single shot. And the little girl goes, and she pulls the trigger, and the gun blows up in her face and kills her. You can't sue the manufacturer of the gun. If it was a toy gun, you could, but if it's a real gun, you can't. So, yeah, that's just I started writing my dissertation 20 years ago with sort of hope in my heart, because I was a bit naive. I was quite young, and I thought, hey, if America can ban alcohol as an amendment, not just as a law, as an amendment to the Constitution, I'm sure they can do something about handguns. But nope, they can't. I think my conclusion at the end of it was just like, yeah, it's fucked. Don't even go there. Don't even go there. But yeah, it was in the light of the Columbine Massacre of 1999. And the more you look into it, the more terrifying it gets. So to answer Jared's question at the beginning, it seems like we're talking about American gun policy tonight. Hey, Jared lives in Cleveland, Ohio. Ohio, hi. And Ohio voted for Donald Trump again. Hashtag just saying. Paul Mason says, hello. Gaz Riley says, do you watch travel vlogs? Have you seen the Bald and Bankrupt? Pretty funny. No, I'll have to watch that. Chris says the smirk on his face pissed me off. Yeah, I think you're talking about Mancock there. Yeah, him and Boris Johnson and Priti Patel, they're all just pissing themselves laughing at us. That's the thing, you know. They're just like, we can say what the hell we like, and you'll still vote for us, morons. And even if you don't, we're in charge for the next 4 years, and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, lining their pockets with all that money. Wasn't Tory Japanese call sign for the Pearl Harbor attack? No, that was Tora, which was a movie made after the success of The Longest Day. So it was kind of like a 3-hour epic with loads of famous people in about Pearl Harbor. And I think it was a bit of a box office bomb. The Longest Day did quite well, I think. And then Tora came along and it wasn't very good. And then many years later, Michael Bay came along and decided to make the absolutely terrible Pearl Harbor movie, which was weird because they were like, they looked at the success of Titanic and the love story in Titanic, and they looked at the success of Saving Private Ryan, and they went, let's try and put those two things together. And it just didn't work. The only good thing about that film is it was filmed in 3-strip Technicolor, which is kind of cool. Okay, hi Graham, loved your piece about Scotland. Oh God, which one? Someone say how to say efficacy. Efficacy. It's like ethics, but it's not, because it's not a TH, it's an F. Chris Cobbeck, never feel the need to carry an assault rifle when going to get some milk. Well, this is it, Chris. What the statistics don't really show is that the vast majority, most deaths in America caused by guns are caused by suicide and accidents. They cause between them about 2/3 of all gun deaths, and then the final third is homicide. Now, if you take out the firearm homicides from the American statistics, they lower their death rate from their murder rate, from a ridiculously high 5 in every 100,000 to about 1.5 in every 100,000, which is about on a par with Belgium. It would make the country so much safer. And the other horrifying statistic is, although these mass killings obviously get the big headlines, what's going on behind the scenes is often what's going on in the unreported world, I should say, is killing a lot more people, and it's domestic violence. So owning a gun, I think I said this the other day, owning a gun makes you 7 times more likely in America to die of a firearm-related injury. And that's because people feel down, they've got a gun. People are playing with their gun, they leave it out, accidents happen. People are pissed off with their husband, pissed off with their wife. You've got a deadly machine in the house. And the most shocking stat was a couple of years ago. Well, it was about 2016 now, I think they did it. The Guardian newspaper in the UK ran a thing called The Counted. And because the FBI doesn't collect data as it should on American police killings, they started collecting the data based on local news reports and eyewitness testimonies and things like that. Families, being informed that one of their family members has been killed by the police. Now, it's voluntary for police to report someone dying to the authorities, the federal authorities. They only have to tell them if they want to. Therefore, when they were just basing it on what the police told them, the number of deaths in custody or being arrested was about 300 and something. When the Guardian got all the data together, they found that in 1 year, 1,134 people were killed by the police in America. Most of them were firearm deaths. Now, that number is astonishing. And you think, well, come on, Graham, America's a big place. It's 330 million people. And is it that much? Well, it is, because to put that into perspective, the number of people who died in police custody in the UK was over the same period was less than 5. And the sad fact is, the UK is quite a safe country, touch wood, at the moment. Who knows what will happen when Brexit comes along. But if you look at how many people die, how many people are killed in England and Wales, each year, you can find this on the Office for National Statistics site. It usually comes at around 600 people murdered by murderers each year. So in the US, you've got a situation in which twice as many people are killed by the police in the US each year that are killed by murderers in the UK each year. And you look at that statistic and you're just like, oh my God, this is just, it's a crazy, crazy situation. There's so many endemic problems in the US system. And look, Britain's not perfect. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it is. But the excuses that are given for gun ownership, it doesn't make you safer, doesn't make you less likely to get robbed, doesn't make it less likely to get burgled, doesn't make it less likely to get your car robbed. It doesn't solve any crimes. There's been no cases of an active shooter being out there and being protected, and the society being protected by a good man with a gun or a good guy with a gun, because quite evidently, when there is an active shooter situation in America on a college campus or in a casino or in a school, then you don't want to be holding a gun, because the place gets surrounded by police, and if they see you with a gun, they'll shoot you dead. So if you have a gun, you generally don't go into that situation to try and take the shooter out. And plus the obvious thing of you can't stop a bullet with a bullet. If you want to protect yourself against being shot, a bulletproof vest would probably be a better idea, and just hope you don't get shot in the head. But the fact that children in America have to train to do what, there's going to be an active shooter incident, they know what to do. They have to hide in the corner behind the teacher, and they got a safe room, and they hide behind the desks and whatever. That's just appalling. It's just absolutely appalling, that terror to put children through so Americans can have their guns. And that Australian comedian, Jim Jeffries, that's him, he just had it right. He just said, look, just say you like them. Just stop lying. Stop lying about, oh, you need them to be free, and you need them because of crime and the bad guys with the guns, and you all think you're a cowboy sheriff from some daft western. No, you just like shooting things. You just like the power of it because, whatever. Anyway, going to just jump in here. Travel vlogs. I'm going back into the messages here. I started watching The World's Worst Boils, but oh God, no, I'm not going to read that. Hi, Graham. Oh, I saw that one. Hey Graham, have you ever been to Gorée Island near Dakar in Senegal? I've been past Gorée Island actually. I was in Senegal when they were building that big statue that I think was funded by the North Koreans, weirdly enough. But there's a big statue that I think kind of, it's on the promontory, isn't it? And it kind of looks over Gorée Island. But no, I didn't actually go to Gorée Island itself. I went past it in a boat. Any thoughts on Labour Islamophobia story from the weekend? Seems most of it was happened under Corbyn's leadership. Yeah, I didn't see too much about that. So that's Aaron Jones there talking about this Islamophobia story. Yeah, if that happened in the Labour Party, it needs to be clamped down on 100%. There should be no excuses. There should be none of this. Oh, it's not as bad as people say it is. Like, any Islamophobia is bad. And one of the things that wound me up to shit when the anti-Semitism stuff was happening, they were like, oh, but we have 500,000 members and it's only 0.001% of them who are saying all this anti-Semitic stuff. And I'm like, okay, are you saying that because only 0.0001% of the British population actually murder someone, we shouldn't do anything about murder? Because it's insignificant, we shouldn't worry about it. You know, if you look at it as a statistic, if you look at it as a percentage, no, this is absolute numbers. One crime is a crime, and you've got to investigate it, and you've got to take it seriously. And you can't be victim blaming all the time, going, "Oh well, you know, they're asking for it, really." And it just blows my mind the way that these the last few Corbynistas, the Alamo people, you know, Trump's Alamo people, we've got them for Corbyn, still fighting on. Battle's been lost. Like that Japanese guy in was it Papua New Guinea? And they found him. I was at Solomon Islands, and they found him like literally decades after the end of the Second World War, and he just wouldn't believe that it was over. He was still fighting the war, because he hadn't got. I think they had to send him like an actual signed telegram from the emperor himself or something to get him to turn in. They're a bit like that, but they're having a go at Rachel Riley from Countdown. They're like she's like their biggest enemy, the presenter on Countdown. For any American people watching, it's like a late afternoon game show, really harmless. It's an anagram show. Yeah. But Rachel Riley's Jewish. Yeah. But yeah, if any Islamophobia has been going on, then that's completely out of order and it should be clamped down on. And if it's still going on now, the people responsible should be kicked out of the party immediately. You don't need that shit. This is the thing about, like, you know, the difference between family and friends. You know, if a friend of yours commits a horrific crime, it's perfectly acceptable to sack them off. You know, it's perfectly acceptable to just go blocked. You don't have to keep them, and you don't have to make excuses for them. But when it comes to party membership, it's like, oh, but what about the Tories? And you're like, no, we're not addressing the Tories at this moment. And it reminds me of the guy being pulled over for speeding, and a car goes past, obviously speeding, and you know, as he's getting written a ticket, and he says to the cop, "Oh, well, what about that guy, eh?" And the cop's like, "I'm dealing with you. Just give me." It's like, you still committed a crime. Okay, Bitter Lake, the documentary is worth a view, as is Hyper Normalization. That's from Plum Duff. Plum Duff's talking about the Adam Curtis documentaries. Fantastic documentaries. There's also The Century of Self, and I think A Machine for Living In. They are phenomenal documentaries, and they're very clever in the way that they tell their narrative, and it's structured in such a weird Adam Curtis way. They're quite hypnotic, but they touch on things of like big ideas. One of them is about the rise of the ultra-conservative religious lot in America in the 1980s, and the rise of the ultra-conservative religious lot in Saudi Arabia in the 80s, and then those coming together in America and Saudi Arabia, those coming together and clashing in 9/11 because of these ideologies that thought that everyone else in the world was wrong and other religions shouldn't exist and other sects of the same religion shouldn't exist. Yeah, just absolute. And it's phenomenal watching these things. You're like, oh, I get it now. And the first time I ever heard the term whataboutery or whataboutism was from Adam Curtis. And I didn't know that it had its origins in the Soviet Union. Because it's what they used to do when anyone in the Soviet Union criticized anything. They'll just say, yeah, but what about America, eh? Doing this crime that they did, or what they did to the indigenous people of America, the Native Americans. And you're like, oh, yeah, that was bad, wasn't it? And what did they do about the slaves, eh? They were awful. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's much worse than these gulags that we've got at the moment. Yeah, that's a good point you've made there, which is obviously whataboutism is the first refuge of a scoundrel, as far as I'm concerned. Plumdo's saying, is it any good? Yes. Graham, have you watched a documentary called The Phenomenon? No. But now I'm going to have the tune from The Muppets stuck in my head for the rest of the night. So thanks, Trev. I'll try and check it out. I can't speak today without getting into trouble with my mum and Trump's gang having a nasty go at me. I just told him help his people before leaving. Short version. Trump's not going to help his people. He doesn't have people. He has himself. He has Team Trump, and that's him, and possibly his family, his son-in-law, his cronies. But don't forget, if anyone displeases him, he'll just drop them like a hot rock. You know, he doesn't care. The lady that had over $200,000 in medical bills from that hot coffee. See, Tom, you're right. Bendis. Jared saying that's not true about Kinder Eggs. It is true because in our Kinder Eggs, the toy is inside the egg, and then they made another version of a Kinder Egg where you've got the egg and you have the toy separate for the American market. Don't mess with me. I know my chocolate eggs, Jared, and I know that you secretly tried to smuggle some in from Canada. Yeah, but your haggis and your French cheese, yeah, and you got turned back at the border. That would never happen to me. Right, we have Kinder Eggs. Yeah. Sugar Geik says, I remember the hot coffee incident. Yeah. McDonald's refusing to pay our medical bills. Yeah. Speaking as an American, you're correct. There are things we can do, and the easiest one would be raise the age of unsupervised ownership to 21 and provide universal medical health care. William, you're absolutely right. There needs to be restrictions on guns. And the way you do it is you don't say, oh, we're going to take your guns away. You don't say we're going to ban handguns. What you do is you say, we want to stop pedophiles having guns. Because no one's going to argue with that. No one's going to go and march on Washington with a sign saying, yeah, pedos, they deserve to have guns, definitely. So what you do is you make a law saying that pedos can't buy guns, and then you put in extra laws inside that make it a bit more difficult for everyone to get to get a gun, because you have to register properly. Because obviously, if you're going to stop pedophiles having guns, you need a national database so you know who's buying the gun and whether they've been whether they're on the sex offenders register or not. This is why I should be in power. Right. Bald and Bankrupt is a massive YouTuber from Brighton who can talk Hindi, Russian, and Spanish. That's very impressive. I can barely speak English. I'm from Liverpool. Doing okay. Thanks. Hope you are too. Bald and Bankrupt is 8. Okay, I'm going to check out Bald and Bankrupt. I'm intrigued now. We're still talking about the coffee back here. I'm so behind in the conversation. Panorama, I missed Panorama, sorry. Biden will need a massive sticking plaster. The Kinder Egg deaths are worse. William McLeod say voluntary reporting that depends on the state. Florida by law requires the police to report, including embarrassing situations. That's how we got a Florida man. A press release for every arrest. Oh, really? Is that how Florida man started? There's a thing on the internet now, isn't there, where you type in Florida man and the date of your birth and you have your own Florida man story. Mine's hilarious. It involves someone dancing naked on someone's lawn with an inflatable crocodile or something. That's crazy. Darian saying about Joe Biden, true, and the massacre caused by lawn darts, also banned in the USA, are horrific. Yeah. Fireworks. A lot of states you can't buy fireworks, especially as a child. And there's states where you can buy a gun as a kid. You can't get alcohol. You can't vote, but you can get a gun. It's kind of a bit crazy. Did you watch George Eustace's interview with Andrew Marr? Yeah, yes, Chris, I was talking about that yesterday, and it was just, I mean, I think they've just come full circle because they've lied and lied and lied and lied and lied, and no one's cared. And now they're just telling the truth because they just don't give a shit anymore. And they're like, yeah, all these farms are going to go out of business. Yeah, barley farmers, you're fucked. Hey, have you got lambs? Yeah. You may as well just burn them. Just burn the lambs. Just all of them. Just throw them on a big bonfire, and yeah, and we can say, have the lambs stopped screaming, Clarice? Or in our case, have the lambs stopped screaming Brexit, because that's what's killed them. But yeah, he basically said 35% tariffs on dairy products. That's fine, because we're going to charge 35% on anyone trying to sell us things, which is just so mad. It's like going up to someone saying, I'd like to buy your house. And they go, okay, that'll be £300,000, please. And you go, no, I'm not putting up with this shit. I'm going to give you £400,000. And you're like, okay, you've just shot yourself in the cock there. I don't know why you would do that, but yes, I will take your money, you absolute loon. Anyway, I don't know. They could sell Trump for medical science. Pickle him. Sugarfree says, I'm reading a book about European history, a bit about the founding of the US. Second Amendment right to bear arms was linked to militias. I guess that was pertinent at the time. Yeah, and plus, if you had a musket, it took about 5 minutes to reload the damn thing, and only shot one bullet, and they were notoriously inaccurate because I think they were ball bearings, or just balls, rather than a bullet-shaped bullet, which has rifling in the inside of the thing, so it spins the bullet and makes it a lot more accurate. See, even us Brits, who have nothing to do with guns, still know things about them because of America. Thanks, America. Cool. Duck and Cover, yeah. Jack Tatty films are very funny and inspired Mr. Bean. No. Monsieur Hulier's Holiday. I've heard of that. Your mug, lol. Oh, thanks, Cricket. Oh, my mug. Sorry, I thought you meant my face. Yeah, this is mine. I hope you can taste your tea now. No, not really. I can't smell it. It's still very much like hot water. Although, if I don't put milk in it, it tastes really tart. So I can taste the tart on my tongue, but I can't actually get the joy of tea as I used to before this bloody COVID got me. I got the corona. Got the Rona. Oh, it's just my messages have just scrolled down a lot, so I just missed a few things. Since we're moving on from guns, did you ever get to Bimini in the Bahamas before they built the big resort there? Some of the best fishing and snorkeling I've ever done. William, no, I never went to Bimini. I just went to Grand Bahama in the Bahamas, and yeah, I spent the day there. And it was spring break, so there were lots of Americans like dancing on the beach in their bikinis to like terrible music, and I was there like a proper idiot Brit. Pasty, middle-aged, overweight man with a hat on, going, "Oh, yeah, it's party, dudes." God, I never felt so out of place in my life, except maybe when I went to the Tory conference. No, that's a joke. I've never been to a Tory conference. Couldn't agree more about anti-Semitism. Thanks, David. Ron is saying the Bald and Bankrupt vlogs. We're still talking about this. Okay, I'm gonna check out the Bald and Bankrupt vlogs. All right, you've I've got it. I got the message. I was getting annoyed about your audio not working again, but this time I haven't turned on my headphones. Oh, that's like my worst nightmare now. Just like everyone saying, "Can't hear you. No audio. No audio." Blind Boy told me about hypernormalization. Yeah, hypernormalization, I think it's on YouTube to watch for free. So if anyone just types in hypernormalization, Adam Curtis, they should be able to watch it. I really, really recommend it. What about it is very similar to the relative deprivation fallacy. It fails because if you say you can't complain because someone else has it worse, then only one person in the world can complain. Well, we had this in the 1980s when we didn't want to eat our peas, and our parents or the school dinner ladies would say, "Eat your peas," because there's children in Ethiopia who don't have peas, and they'd love to have peas, and they don't. And then you kind of, okay, but it's not really relevant to my situation here. It's just like, I don't like peas. I'll probably vomit everywhere, and I'm full, so I don't need to leave room for pudding. Just saying. But yeah, it is that sort of pointing at other things that are equally as bad or worse to deflect attention from what's going on right now. And I think whenever you have a problem, whataboutery is just the shittest way of dealing with it. You got to deal with the problem head on and say, look, we've got a problem, and do something about it. You can't just go, oh, well, the Tories, they're racist. Yes, really? Right, news to us. But yeah, there's a huge problem right now, and it goes in with all that stuff of the Russian state, Putin and his oligarch buddies, essentially using the tools that they used in the Cold War to great effect, a much greater effect than they had in the Cold War, because they used to use it to their own people, using it for everybody in the world, and using it to quite successfully destabilize democracy. I mean, it's no surprise that a lot of the anti-vax stuff that you see online coming from Twitter and Facebook and things like that are usually Russian in origin. They take a lot of time and effort and spend a lot of money on putting that stuff out there just to mess with people's heads and make them think, oh, there's something to worry about here. Then, you know, well, getting this vaccination, I'd rather die and take everyone else out with me. Alex, I've been wanting to ask that question for a long time, but I feel there's something going on there. Correct me if I'm wrong, Graham. What was Alex? Talking about doing more podcasts. We're all kind of doing our own things these days. I don't know what Jason's doing. Adam is now living in Denmark. Maddie is busy doing her artwork. Femi is like super famous now. So I don't know if I've written to him a few times this year, but I know he's super busy. And he's doing such a great job. It just seems a bit daft for me to go, well, will you come on my podcast? Because, you know, 1,000 people will watch it, whereas he is appearing on Jeremy Vine's show and GMB and Loose Women and whatever. So yeah, it's just, I think maybe once Brexit hits and we're sort of free of this COVID, then I think there's going to be more of an audience for people who want to do something about getting us to rejoin the EU as soon as possible. And I would very much like to be part of that movement for as long as it takes. You know, I'm 41, should be around for another couple of decades, I hope, fingers crossed. So just as long as it takes, but I'm not going to stop fighting to get back into the EU because I feel like my birthright has been taken off me by very posh people with lots of money, and that annoys the hell out of me. It's like the baddies have won. It's like the end of Chinatown. It's like the Empire Strikes Back. It's just, no, I'm just left with this raging sense of injustice, and I don't think that's an itch I'll ever manage to scratch until we are back in the EU one way or another. Okay, where am I? Actually, a great video collab on Brexit would be a video with Graham and Phil from A Different Bias. Yes, actually, that's a very good point, Trevor. I should get in touch with Phil. He name dropped me the other day. He misquoted me. Well, no, it was a quote that I had nicked off Philip Pullman, who wrote his Dark Materials. And he called, famously, he called Nigel Farage the bollocked-faced foghorn of ignorance, which is just the most beautifully poetic insult of all time. It doesn't get any better than that. And I used it, and I think Phil used it in one of his things, saying, "What Graham you said?" And I was like, "No, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. That was Phil Pullman. I nicked it." So I felt a bit bad about that. But then it's the internet. We all steal off each other. It's fun. It's always good when you see a meme that you made come back around and someone posts it to you, and you're like, "Yeah, that was one of mine." But yeah, I think Phil's doing a great job, and he pumps out the videos. I mean, he's got he's better at it than I am because I just don't have the time. And this is the reason why I'm doing the live stuff now, because I thought I want to keep making videos, but I can't be spending an entire day editing the damn things. So I think this is better. And I like the back and forth here. I want to try and augment it somehow so I can actually get people calling in or something like that, or get more people in this discussion. Obviously, I won't be able to call it Hughes at 10 anymore because it'll have other people. Hughes and Friends at 10. That doesn't really work. But yeah, that's something that I'd like to look into, because I think it's really good getting this feedback as I'm talking and questions being asked and things like that. It's good. It's fun. Oh, everyone who's watching, can you just quickly, just before I go on to the next question, could you quickly just give this a like? So just hit that thumb in the corner, because we've got 96 people watching. We've got 29 likes. So if you could all just thumb up for me, that would be fantastic. Stick a thumb up me. And no, that came out wrong. Neoseptum, Irish wristwash. What? Irish wristwash? Oh God, Iota, what are you doing to me? I can't say that. It took me about 23 years to be able to say the word Afghanistan, for Christ's sake. I still can't say Aberystwyth. Oh God, and there he did. Now companies have stated they have a vaccine between 90 and 95% working. Does one think people will get complacent about lockdown? Yeah, David, I think that's a good point. People are like, oh, it'll be over soon, and people are going to want to see their families at Christmas, especially after this horrific year. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, really. I thought Boris Johnson in the press interview about it last week when he said, don't get too excited. I thought that was remarkable coming from him. He's usually the one who's like, oh, everything's amazing, even when it's really shit. And this was something that was amazing, but he was like, don't get too excited, because I think that someone had said to him, don't over egg it, because people will not follow the rules of lockdown properly. But interestingly, I think Matt Hancock wouldn't give a definitive answer if lockdown was definitely going to end on this specific date in December. I think it's December the 5th, I think. It's supposed to end, but it might not, which is going to be a bit of a pain because it's my dad's birthday the weekend after. I know, I'll go and see him. They're both based up in Northeast England. So Phil's up here as well. Oh, fantastic. I'll have to give him a shout. Chris agreed. Why do so many people vote for him? I don't know. Phil Morehouse is really good. Everyone should watch him. Yes, this is a guy who, his name is Phil. He does a different bias. So if you're looking for YouTube channels about Brexit and about the government in general, definitely a good one to follow. Is a different bias. Really recommend it. Bald and bankrupt in Bolivia was crazy. He could have got killed. Guys, I could have got killed in Bolivia. I went down the Camino de la Muerte, the road of death. I went down it in a bloody bus in an old clapped out coach. And I think in the morning, everything's supposed to go down. In the afternoons, everything's supposed to go up. It's supposed to be kind of one way. But of course, that never happened. And whenever we were passing someone, for some reason, we were always on the edge of the cliff, and they'll be like tucked up against the wall, going the sides. And we'll go around them. And honestly, it was inches in it. It was like that episode of Top Gear where they go on the road of death. What else to do in Panama? I love Panama. Bolivia. I love Bolivia. It was a crazy place. I went into the Potosi gold mine. No, silver mine. Sorry. Oh my God. It was like 400-year-old silver mine. And you go in, and when you come out, it's like you see sunlight, and you're like, oh my God, I've never been so happy to see sunlight in my life. You wear like a hard hat, and you have to, because I must have banged my head about 17,000 times down there, and it's so dark and scary, and there's explosions going off, and it's like hell. It's like this vision of hell. It's like the Orpheus in the underworld. And I got out, and I was like, oh, thank God. And then we went to like a shop, and we bought some dynamite. You can just buy dynamite, like go into the shop to buy, some milk and flowers. Can I have a stick of dynamite, please? And like, yeah, sure. And it's like Wile E. Coyote. I mean, it's just literally sticks of dynamite, and they pop them down and go, there you go, and some fuses. And you're like, okay, how much is that? And like $5. And you're like, okay, cheers, mate. Walk off with some dynamite. And the other stuff I loved in Bolivia is the salt flats, which are just amazing. The Salar de Uyuni, which is just phenomenal. And also, if you want to have a good trip down, there's a tributary of the Amazon River called the Rio Beni, and it's near Ruinabaki. I'm saying down because it feels like downhill, which feels like south because I'm Treebeard from Lord of the Rings, but it's actually north of the country. And you can go on a jungle safari, you can go on a pampas safari, and you swim with piranhas and crocodiles and and then you go and hunt anacondas, not to kill, just to hold up, and then get a photo of you with the anaconda, and then give it to someone else and then run off. But yeah, Bolivia. Oh, and I had a trip around San Pedro prison. If you ever read the book Marching Powder, that's set in San Pedro prison in the capital, La Paz. And it's mental that there's only like 2 guards, and they stand outside, and the prisoners run their own prison essentially. And you turn up, and there was a German guy called Hans who had been given 7 years or something for drugs offences, and he gave us a tour. He gave us a guided tour of this prison in Bolivia. Oh my God. Anyway, sorry, I'm going on about travel. I should be talking about politics. Politics, Ryan. This is a politics show. Thumbs down count the same on the algorithm for the hazers. Oh, really? That would be kind of good. Don't give me a thumbs down though. I don't think you can on this. It just says thumbs up. By the way, try to get Rosie Holt on your show. It'll be much pleasing to watch. And she has some incredible funny videos. That would be great if it did. So Rosie Holt, for those you don't know, does these very straight, like piss takes of someone who's an anti-masker, someone who's an anti-vaxxer, someone who's a pro-Brexit, someone who's pro-Tory, and she's very good at doing that sort of middle-class hypocrisy. And she's very funny. And a lot of people watch her stuff and go, "Oh my God, is this real?" Like, start giving a shit on Twitter because they think it's real. It's not real. It's comedy, but it's so subtle. She's excellent. Yeah, that'd be good if we actually had her as. I'm going over now to classic Tory voter Rosie Holt, and then she could be talking about her views as a ardent Brexiteer. Name a benefit. Have we got a troll or something? Oh God, Hughes round. Oh, that's brilliant. Sugar free Hughes round. Oh no, sorry, Choc Sal Hughes round. Oh yeah, I'm so once I finish doing this at 10 o'clock, I'm having that. That's brilliant. Let's have a look. Richard Tice is great for the UK. Discuss. No. How long does it take? How long do we have to leave him before he makes himself acceptable compost? You should have a long life, Graham. Your body is bursting with antibodies. Well, yeah, because I've been to every country in the world, so you know I've had it all. I've had it all. Insert your mum joke here. Mr. Hughes, I am pro-Brexit. Don't worry, the corporations and central banks will make sure your types will win. I think you're fine with lost, okay? Such as a contempt for democracy, okay. But we will fight you to the end. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? He's won, but he's unhappy about it. Oh, well, bye-bye. Offer a kip, night all. Keep the faith. Laters. See you plumbed off. I think they probably went ages ago. Thumbs up, Graham all. Yeah, excellent, bravo. Phil's and Scunthorpe. By the way, tried to get Rosie Holt. Yeah, I've seen that one. I'm scrolling down and it just skips to the bottom messages. This could be the TV equivalent of TYT, Ring of Fire, Majority Report. It's good to see you all referencing each other like that. Yeah, and that's something I love about YouTube is a lot of the YouTubers that I like to watch I'll often interact with each other and have like clips from each other's videos, and will actually, it's got that sort of overlap that you don't get on traditional television as much, except when there's like a charity thing going on, and that thing of bigging up other channels because it's not seen as competition in the same way because you can only produce so much stuff. It's not like the BBC doesn't really want to be bigging up ITV and vice versa. Graham, I heard you liked roast chicken. The thing is, we turkeys are the superior meat. Would you be willing to reconsider and lobby on our behalf? Gobble, gobble, gobble. That's from a frozen turkey. Okay, thank you very much, frozen turkey. No, I don't actually like turkey. I think it's too dry usually when it's cooked because it's such a big bird. It's hard to keep it moist. And when I've had a big feast to make, I've just made 2 chickens. I've just got 2 big chickens and done them individually so they can be like nice and juicy and moist, and I can make really good gravy out of the juices from scratch because I love doing roast dinners. I love them. But yeah, turkey's not my favorite. I think my number 1 is lamb. I love lamb, and it's really hard to get in America. Even harder to get in Panama, as well as cheese. That's any good. which is a shame because I tried to make scouse on my birthday once in Panama. I spent the entire morning going to all these different supermarkets in Panama City, and we couldn't find any lamb anywhere. And then I found out years later that the WTO tariff on lamb is 40%, and I'm like, what were you expecting? But yeah, lamb and then pork. And then I'm not a massive fan of beef, and because of the environmental concerns about eating beef, I've just tried to shy away from it in the last few years because the environmental impact is massive, and I don't really like it that much anyway. People get really, really affectionate towards steak. I don't really get it. I just go, okay, yeah, it's nice. It's the same way I feel about wine. I'm like, yeah, this is all right. And all these connoisseurs are going, you can taste the hollyhocks. And I'm like, I'm just getting drunk. Trevor's saying, yes, Robespierre would be an excellent addition to, and throwing Jeff Taylor to roast, lol. Maximilian Robespierre of the French Revolution fame, I think. I've got Hughes for you. Oh, David, this is too good. So we've got Hughes round. Have I got Hughes for you? Stuart Owen saying, I always watched Three Blokes. Thank you for the truth. Keep it going, and thanks. We will keep going one way or another. Dominic's next job could be in a castle tour guide. He just doesn't know it yet. How's the hard Brexit food stockpiling going? Very well, thank you very much. We have been stockpiling now for quite a while, and we'll be able to survive quite a while if things start going missing at the supermarket. But it's one of those things. You don't want to be right. You don't want to be right. But if you are, then I think there'll be an extension. I think there's going to be a bodge. There's going to be a fudge. There's got to be something because the systems are not ready for January the 1st. Nothing's ready for the end of the year. So, yeah. Meals on wheels, please, Graham. Roast dinner needed. I make a cracking roast, mate. No one's knocked me roast yet. Cricket says, good to see you, Graham. Glad you're doing well. Good to see you, Cricket. Thanks so much for that picture of me holding the Coca Pod. I didn't know that existed. That was really cool. Mutton was big in North India for some reason, but I've gone vegan now. Yeah. Well, mutton's a good meat to put in to stew for a very, very long time. But if you don't have time to cook things like overnight, then mutton's not so great. Boris Johnson called Scottish devolution disaster the best recruiting sergeant. Yeah, Boris Johnson, Alex Morrison's making this point about Boris Johnson being the best recruiter for Scottish independence has ever been. He is absolutely phenomenal at it because Scottish people hate him. Quite rightly, because he's a twat. But I mean, it is quite impressive. Gaz is saying, really, you might have to start stockpiling yet, mate. Get some stuff in the house because on January the 1st, if we have no interim deal, if we don't have an implementation period, if there's no extensions of transition, we are not ready. We are not ready in any way, shape, or form. And you've seen the way the government handled COVID, the worst response in Europe, the most dead people in Europe, and the biggest economic hit in Europe. The people in charge don't have a clue, okay? And it's going to affect food coming in, drink coming in, ingredients, seeds, farming, anything you want to buy. It's going to affect it all, and it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be an absolute nightmare unless we get a transition extension, which we could have asked for by now because of COVID. I mean, it's not even like a thing that you need to debate very much. You just go, yeah, COVID has messed up our plans, so let's just hold off for another year before we put hard borders between us, like with the goddamn Soviet Union, and the year is 1952. The Frozen Turkey says, that was a detailed and heartfelt response. This turkey respects your opinion. Thank you. And Frozen Turkey, I know you're a Frozen Turkey, but I would like to say to all the turkeys out there that I want them to live. I want them to live, and I don't want to eat them. Talking of eating things, Baby Yoda in The Mandalorian, he's just so cute. He loves the eggs. He just loves the eggs. And then he tried to eat a spider egg, which didn't go down so well. But great show, The Mandalorian. It's a Western set in space, and it seems to have half the cast of Deadwood in it. It's like, yeah, was he in Deadwood? Oh, yeah, just put him in. Actually, a great video suggestion. I'd like to see Graham, Phil, Maximilian, Jason, Adam, and Cozy playing Phasmophobia. Gotta check it out. You haven't seen this game yet? Okay, we'll do that on Twitch. Everyone on Twitch. I know there's going to be a lorry park full of food going begging. Yeah. Iota's is asking what have we been stockpiling. So flour. Just look at what went in March. Okay, so flour, yeast. We can't do much about eggs and butter at the moment because obviously it's only got a sort of limited shelf life. Yeah, we've got loads of canned stuff because it lasts forever. Basically, at the moment, we're still buying stuff that we will actually eat at some point and it won't go off. Lots of dried stuff, so loads of rice, loads of pasta. But it's all stuff that we will eat. Eventually, as it gets into December, we'll start buying things that we wouldn't normally buy in a can, like vegetables and stuff like that, because there's hold-ups at the border. And I know we've got loads of ports of entry in the United Kingdom, but just the logistics behind this is crazy. 90% of everything in this country, 90% is imported. It comes in on a ship. 90%. I can't stress this enough. You put barriers in the way of that getting anywhere. You think about the longevity of a cabbage or a bit of broccoli or whatever. If you're spending 2 days on a border in an articulated lorry, it's going to reduce your lifespan. So you go into the supermarket, and if you do have stuff, it might go off in 2 days. So it's all a bit infuriating and sickening and a bit terrifying all at the same time. But yeah, I'll definitely get some dried goods, stuff that will last all year, just in case there's shortages. And I'm not saying there's going to be nothing in the supermarket. Obviously, we make quite a lot of our own food, but not enough to feed the nation. And you saw how crazy people went a couple of years ago when KFC ran out of chicken. People were calling 999. People were calling the police, the emergency services, to call them up and say, the KFC's got no chicken. I'm like, oh my God. Right. Given that Farage garage is built on the floodplains of Ken Rookie, soggy is a very likely result. Yeah. Stock up on some oils to replace butter. That's a good point. From MMTB, because you need butter for loads of things. So, but butter's all right as long as you can keep it refrigerated, and that's another problem. We import power from the continent as well. We have two I think big pipelines, cables coming from France. I think we've got one coming from the Netherlands. I think. Which bring in power, and it's all to do with equalising the national grid. And again, it's not a case of there's going to be no power. It's not like there's going to be no food. There's going to be some, and there's going to be power. But if the grid can't stabilize the way it normally does, they might have to have brownouts. They might have to have certain areas that just have either low electricity or no electricity for a few hours, maybe turn it off during the day. Oh my God, can you imagine that in the middle of winter? It's just... And don't forget, when things are stuck at the ports trying to get in, we import nearly all of our natural gas these days from Qatar. These bloody big gas container things that freeze down the gas to a liquid, so they can they can take a big vast volume from Qatar around the Horn, near the Horn of Africa, past the Somali pirates, and then up through the Suez Canal and over to the UK. It's the logistics, they're stuck behind a boat because they can't get a berth because the boat that's there can't get the containers off because there's nowhere to put the containers because the container field is full. Yeah, sugar-free, we're fecked. Yeah, you're right. David saying, I take a drug called Epilium and Tesco chemist always says it's in short supply. I'm sorry to hear that, David. Be worse by January the 21st. Something extra for myself to worry about. My doctor goes very quiet and doesn't know what to do. Yeah, we've had this with my dad because he is on medicine for his dementia, and it's difficult because you can only get, if you're on a repeat prescription, you can only get really that month's prescription, and if they don't have it, they don't have it. So I'd recommend, if anyone is on repeat prescription, to get your medicine and then this month, and then lose it accidentally and ring up your doctor and say, I need some more, just so you've got an extra month of medicine going forward. Maybe do it next month as well. The fish is not going to turn bad in that new lorry park. They can have a swim for a bit while they're waiting there. This is a new lorry park that they're building off the M20, Junction 10 in Kent. And yeah, the building is on a floodplain. Because that just won't end in disaster. There's a stream. I've looked it up on Google Maps. There's a stream running through the park. Butter keeps for months in the fridge unopened, and cheese not start piling much here. Butter and cheese, good things to sort of stock up a little bit on before Christmas, I think. An extension will require a treaty change to be drafted and ratified very quickly. I don't know, Charlie, because although they have sort of put this into law, I think that if they wanted to rush something through, they could. We've seen it before, where they've just got a bill, it's gone to first reading, second reading, up to the House of Lords, back down to the House of Commons, back up to the House of Lords, back down to the House of Commons, over to the Queen, and she signed it in a dinner time. By dinner time, I should say. So yeah, it can be done if needed. I'm not too worried about that enshrine the law stuff that the Brexiteers keep saying. Right, I'm going to wrap it up, I think. Steve saying, I bought lots of dried pasta and tinned tuna, etc. Stuff that keeps. Yeah, it's insane that we have to do that in UK in 2020. Yeah, because it's not 1940 anymore. It's madness. Yeah, self-inflicted madness, as Stephen says. Doesn't need power stroke fridge for tins and pasta. Yeah, that's the point. It's mad that they're putting us through this. Jesus. You have no problem getting cheap lamb after Brexit 3 times a day. It could just be in the national interest. Yes. And we'll all get really fat because lamb is a very fatty meat. That's why it tastes so good. Okay, so Dave, cheers. Plenty of fish. Yeah, but it's mackerel, isn't it? We don't have any cod. We import like 90% of our cod. All the fish around us is like mackerel. So they're like kippers. We want loads of kippers. Yeah, kippers forever. All right. See you, John. See you, Paul. See you, Trevor. I'll be back tomorrow, 10 o'clock, bright and early, to have a chat about the events of the day. But I might go off on some tangents. Before you go, can you just give us a thumbs up if you haven't already, and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Because if I can get back over 30,000 subscribers, it unlocks more courses for me, and I can play as Wario. So please do that, and that will also help the algorithm. Okay, thanks very much, everyone, for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Adios.